The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
There was a Rav in Kiryat Shalom in Tel Aviv. His name was Rav Segal. I don't know his first name, it starts with a Yud. And he was, besides being the Rav there, he was also in charge of the Rabbanot, of being matir and giving the okay for men to marry women. In Eretz Yisrael, any man that wants to marry a woman has to give an application into the Misrad HaDatot, and they do their research on every single person and making sure that the person's not a mamza, the person's a yid, the person's not a kohen with a grusha, the person's not really married to somebody else. Whatever they do, they have a whole protocol, what they have to do. One day he comes in and he gives in his resignation. He's finished. He's not working anymore. Give us a month, give us 2 months to find somebody else. No, I'm finished. I'm over. This story was said over by Rav Zinger, who's the Rav of Givat Shmuel, and he heard it from him on his deathbed. That means before he was being nifter, Rav Segal, this Rav Zinger asked him, tell me the real reason why you resigned from the Misrad HaDatot. And he told him that he worked Be'emunah all his life. He did his research. He dotted every I, crossed every T, made sure that everything is Kedasa Kedin. And one night, he had a dream. In his dream, he saw Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. And Rav Shimon Bar Yochai told him that b'schus that you learn my Torah, I came to save you from a serious problem. Today, in Misrad HaDatot, you were matir a man to marry a woman. You should know that the woman is a grusha and the man is a kohen. And he woke up, he was startled, and he came into the Misrad HaDatot, and he says, it can't be. But I had a dream. He went and he found in all the papers that they gave in, he started doing research on every paper that was given in, and he found that half of the papers were zuyafim. They were mizuyafim, they were forged papers. And they were able to prove that it was forged. And taka, the man was a kohen taka, and the lady was a grusha. And everything was in the system. Just that they used fake papers with fake names to cover it up, that it shouldn't come out, that they shouldn't chap it. And therefore, once he saw that he could be matir something, even if he dotted every I and crossed every T, he decided, that's it. I'm not doing this job anymore. And he gave it up. And the schus was because he learned Kabbalah, he learned the Zohar, he learned Rav Shimon Bar Yochai's Torah. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai came to save him from this zach. Grada, I saw many stories about this. I'll just tell you that Rabbi Atiyah said in public that he had a son who got sick, and he was so sick he had 42 degrees Celsius, very burning hot. And Lamaisa, he went to sleep, and in his cholam he saw the Marsha, and the Marsha told him that Heyois, that you harva over the Marshas in every Masechta, and that's like the main achron that you're busy with, and you're checking, and you learn every single Marsha. I came to tell you that I beseeded on your son's behalf with Fnei Kisi HaKavod, and you're going to see when you wake up that your son has 37. It went down from 42 to 37. And Rabbi Atiyah said that he woke up, and he took his son's temperature, and it was 37. And it was a pella. But Lamaisa, because he learned the Marsha's Torah, he was zoicher that the Marsha came to him in a cholam and told him that he's going to daven for him. Rather, Rabbi Yashiv always used to say, a skula, that if a person is in a tzara, he should learn one of the tshuvas of the Noida B'Yehuda, and the Noida B'Yehuda will daven for him in Shemayim. And the Steipler also used to say that it doesn't have to be Noida B'Yehuda. the stipend is to tell people that they can find any sefer, any of the previous Gdolim, and learn that sefer, and they will be mamlets for you in Shemayim. There's in one of the Svarim brought down that a Yid from America had a dream that he, in his dream, he saw a famous moil. And the moil came to him and said that I did a bris on your brother 30 years ago, and your father never paid me. And Lamaisa, his father was still alive, and he went to his father, and he asked his father. His father said, yeah, that Yid was taking a moil, but I paid him. So there's a letter that he wrote to Reb Chaim, to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, asking him if he's mechuyev to pay or not, because his father says that he paid. So Reb Chaim writes back that if your father says that he paid Avada, he's potter, but Lamaisa, if you were zoicha to see that someone should come to you and tell you that your money, it's kedai, lots of sedei shamayim, to pay again a few $100 to satisfy choiv. Better, they're coming to you to save you in this world instead of in the next world. It's kedai. It's a famous story of a Rosh Yeshiva who was traveling with 8 Talmidim, that they were about to land. There was a big fog, and they couldn't land their intended arrival airport, and they had to land 150 miles away in a army base. And as soon as they got off the plane, a sergeant came over to them and said, these guys did not daven mincha yet, correct? And he said, yeah, how do you know? He says, because today is my father's yahrzeit, and my father came to me last night and told me that I have to say Kaddish for him, and I said, I don't have a minyan, I'm stuck on the base. My father told me, I'll send you a minyan, you just say Kaddish. And sure enough, Taka, there was 9 people, and he was the 10th, and Taki was able to say Kaddish. This is all documented stories that I'm telling you. There was another story, for those that remember, about 15 years ago, I don't remember the exact date, 10 years ago, there was a chasana hall called the Versailles, something like that in Yerushalayim, and the whole thing was like 2 halls, one on top of the other, and it toppled down, and a lot of people got killed. Anyways, there was a Baal Tshuva that was supposed to get married in the bottom floor on that night, and she had a dream that she should not get married in that hall. Her mother came to her in a dream and told her to go make the chasna someplace else, but not in that hall. And she went to ask her Rabbanit. That's what happened. And she asked her Rebbetzin, and the Rebbetzin asked the Shaila, and then the Rebbetzin came back to her and told her that if your mother came all the way to this world to tell you not to make it there, even if it costs you more money, you should make it someplace else. And Taka, for those that remember, that bottom floor was empty that night. Otherwise, there would have been hundreds of more people being casualties. But because the mother came down to save her, Taka, this is all in a cholim, and this was printed, B'Shas Maisa, everybody knows the story. Rosh Yeshiva writes that he was once in the shul in the Beis HaKnesses Hagra in Katamon, and he got an aliyah. He didn't remember if he paid money or he promised money, and he was trying to find out how he could find out if there's any records. And he davened, and he davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he had a dream, and in the dream, they told him that he should go to a certain chasana. He went to the chasana, and a Yid comes over to him and says, are you this Rosh Yeshiva? He says, yeah. He says, I need information about a bacher that learned in your yeshiva. So he gave him the information, and he tells him, well, who are you? He says, I'm the Gabbai of the Beis HaKnesses Hagra in Katamon. He says, oh, so I was there 25 years ago, and I got an aliyah, and I'm not sure if I owe money, I don't owe money. Can you find out? Here's my number. 2 days later, he got a phone call that, yes, it's in the records that there was a chayiv of 25 shekel, it was never paid. And Taka, he sent him the money, but through a cholim, Taka, he got this thing. Rebbetzin Cook, the mother of all the Reb Simcha Cook and all these other brothers, the Chashiv Talmidim from Rabbi Yashiv, so they said over Merid Gazach that she was supposed to have a very big surgery. She was older already, and she had a dream right before the surgery. And in the dream, she saw they took her and they threw her into a deep pit. And she woke up screaming, and she told the kids that she has no menuchas hanefesh, she can't go into a surgery like this. And they should go right now and find Rabbi Aryeh Levine and bring him to her because she needs to talk to him about the dream. Mamash, like about 10 seconds later, there's a knock on the door, and in walked Rabbi Aryeh Levine. And Rabbi Aryeh Levine heard the dream, and Rabbi Aryeh Levine told her that the pisrain of the dream is that since it says, Mimamakim krasicha Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that before you go into the surgery, you should daven from the depths of your heart, and that's why it's a bira mikta, that's why they threw you into a deep hole, and you're going to have a murdik Yeshua, and you're going to be matzliach in the surgery. And Taka, that's what happened. To what we said before about the tzaddikim davening for you, I saw that Moshe Martha Schulzinger was sitting shiva for his brother Rav Shmuel, who was the Rav of Kiryat Ata, and he said that his father Rabbi Yitzchok was a moitz in Haifa, and he used to learn Sfas Emes. And he learned Sfas Emes Kol Yamav. You could ask him any Sfas Emes, he knew it by heart, he knew every single Sfas Emes. And his brother Reb Shmuel, the one that was just nifta, was Taka once very sick as a young child, and Sfas Emes came to him and told him that because you learn my Sfarim, I'm Taka gonna go and stand in front of the Kisei HaKavod, and Taka, he lived many, many, many years later. He's sitting shiva for him many, many years later, but that's how he stayed alive. So I'll end with one more story, that there was a Yid that had a dream that the Shailas at Shuvas, Menachem Azariah came to him, I don't know who it is, and he told him that when your kid is born, you should name him Menachem Azariah after me. And he told him, and the siman that you should know that it's true is because when you're going to wake up, you're going to find that my sefer, Menachem Azariah, is on the floor, fell out of his farm shank. So he woke up and he went to this farm shank, and sure enough, he saw the sefer on the floor. So he came to Reb Chaim Kanievsky to ask Reb Chaim if he should name his kid after that. So Reb Chaim said, Vada, why not? It's the right thing to do. So he asked Reb Chaim, how could there be such a thing that a cholam, that there should be mavaza, a sefer, to prove to me that the dream is right? So Reb Chaim told him, you have the sequence of events backwards. First, when you put back the sefer last time, you didn't put it back good. Then the sefer fell out on the floor. And for you to have a kapara, but not being mechaber the sefer properly, you should name after that godel, and that's going to be the kapara. But you see that the gedolim took on this thing of chaloimos very seriously. And there's millions of more stories. But I'm saying stories that I saw in Svarim and documented and that I heard many times over from Rosh Hashivas. I heard many of them personally myself. So it's a great zach. We have to remember that we're all in one big dream. And we're waiting for the pisrain. We don't know what it's going to be. But it's like Chanukah. All of a sudden it's going to come the lichtelach, and it's going to turn on the or, and it's going to release us from this gefelach of finster gullus. May it happen. The Meheira b'yameinu. Amen.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org